All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of the Politely Dangerous podcast. I got I guess everyone's a special guest, but I got my brother with me today, very good friend, fellow DJ from Cleveland, Ohio, Mr. Bobby Booshay. How you feeling, man?
What up, bro? How you doing?
I gotta get your drop in there.
I know, Bobby.
We'll make it happen. But man, I want to welcome you to the show, episode 3. We've had a lot of good talks, from just life, DJing, entrepreneurship, mental health, things like that, man. So I'm super excited, to get into it. But definitely I always allow my guests to kind of introduce themselves the way they like to do it. So yeah, tell the people a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Well, first I want to give you your flowers and congrats for finally starting this.
Appreciate that.
Doing something that you've been wanting to do, and another step in your creative process.
Thank you, sir.
Always trying to push yourself.
TY.
A whole lot of TY. But my name is Bobby Booshay. I'm DJ, producer. Mayor
of Cleveland.
Yeah. All right, babe. That's my guy. But I don't know. I never know what else to say in those moments. I always feel kind of lost because I don't know. I don't like the
You're creative.
Self-proclaim. Yeah, creative. Idea guy. Manager, booking agent, in a sense for myself. Sometimes others, and just a hot connector. Yeah.
So we're here at Goodnight John Boy, actually, in Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
This is one of the places you DJ, you manage.
Yep.
I want to kind of start there musically. At what age did you start actually DJing?
I think it was maybe 15, 16, because it was 12, 13 years ago, almost. About 13 years ago, I think. Something like that. I think once February hits, it'll be 13 years. I don't know. I kind of start to lose track of it every time, just because it's all kind of flown by, and in the moment, I didn't really focus on it, of what it was, but I would say 13 years. So I think I'm 27 now, so
now
around then, but
you DJ a lot in Cleveland. I mean, I don't want to say just Cleveland because you travel and DJ and stuff now. Did you grow up in Cleveland? Is that where you got your start DJ wise, or where did you kind of start things out at?
I would say essentially it was kind of just all over the whole entire state. Obviously, when I first started, I grew up, I moved a bunch, so I lived in Menor, lived in Euclid, lived in Kirtland, and now but everything was always kind of eventually centered around going downtown Cleveland, or for a while I was doing a bunch of stuff in Akron, so all around there. But then as everything started to continue and progress, went to OU, so I was doing stuff down there, eventually doing stuff here in Columbus. Never really anything like Cincy, but just the general north to south line straight down, just kind of in and out through there. So mainly started in Cleveland, doing little small shows there in Lakewood, and then a lot of stuff in Akron, and slowly now branching out to go all over.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you definitely have made your mark in the city of Cleveland, and you're starting to branch out. As a younger person, as a kid, people always ask, what, they love to ask DJs, what got you into DJing? As a kid, were you a musical kid? Was it something that you always loved, was a passion? Or is this something that kind of sprang on you a little bit later in life?
No, I would say, I always liked music. I never was really into sports when I was younger. It never really, mattered to me. I tried it, I attempted to do all that stuff, play football. I wanted to try, golf, kind of baseball, basketball, and it just none of it really stuck. So then eventually, I wanted to play, an instrument. So, I did band and stuff in school, and just listening to music in general. And I was listening to, once I started to get really more into music, I eventually started to learn to play guitar. Did that for years, then wanted to be in heavy metal bands, learned a bunch of classic metal, Black Sabbath, and then eventually more heavy stuff, and was going to heavy metal shows. So for then a while tried to do music in that sense of being in a band, and it kind of just wasn't working, and I eventually just then started to get into dubstep, and like stuff like that, to where then like I was like, all right, like I actually want to make this stuff. I was like going to see like some of the DJs, or then like started going to rap shows more and saw those DJs, whether they were like local guys who were opening for the main people, or the guys that were like the artist DJ. So just seeing that kind of started to like motivate me, and then like I said, like I started just like playing and like trying to make dubstep, and then eventually morphed into like doing rap shows and like being a house DJ for rap shows, and then eventually I just slowly started to morph into then being like open format and playing clubs and doing festivals, and now it's kind of like a grand mixture of like everything under the sun. So it's slowly over the last like 13 years, it's like slowly transformed and like changed. Yeah, it's gone through many stages, because it's funny. Somebody I'd posted a story on Instagram of like a new tattoo, and I put like a certain song over it, and it's like this heavy metal band called Bring Me the Horizon. This one guy responds, he's like, wow, the last song I would ever expect you to like even know or whatever. And I was just like, bro, like this has been my like stuff, so like people will forget that. Even like I've been doing like some more EDM shows here and there, so playing like heavy dubstep or like some good house music, and especially with like the dubstep and heavy stuff, people are like, yo, like I didn't know you knew that stuff, or like you could play like that, blah blah blah. I'm like, bro, this is where it started. Like my foundation. This was here before like where I am now. Yeah. So it's just funny to like have moments like that. I'm sure you have that too.
Yeah. So when you first started DJing, did you have this feeling of, man, like this is what I love this, you know, I think I can really see myself taking off with this? Or was it more like a hobby, like let's kind of see where it goes, just having fun with it? Kind of take us to where like your mind was like when you first started out.
I mean, it was like all or nothing. It basically, like I didn't really like, I was like, okay, cool, like this is definitely what I want to do, because like I started in middle school, I would say, so did it like partially in there, then high school, all through college, all the way up until now, and there's never been like plan B or anything else. So then pretty much, yeah, it was like all this or nothing, to where like, you know, there's definitely like moments, and like we were talking about it last night or whatever, of how I was telling a friend that like I was telling him like, yo, you know, I used to play like completely empty rooms. Yeah. You know, I put in like time and effort to playing in front of nobody, and eventually working up to where now, like, you know, I'm lucky enough to come play like a packed club or go play somewhere that's filled with people. Right. To where, you know, in those moments, like, you know, I left like the show where it was so empty that like there wasn't even a bartender in the room. It was just me playing in front of nobody. Wow. And you know, it's super discouraging, especially when you're younger and you get in your mind and you're like, wow, like do I suck? Like, do people not like me? Like, what am I doing wrong? Maybe I should quit and give up, you know. So you kind of play the like mental games in your mind and trying to figure it out. And then, you know, I left the show and I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just kind of regroup. Next one will be better. I'll figure out what I have to do to like get better or make the situation better. So like creating like self-motivation within it to just like be like, all right, it's okay. You know, we'll take this one on the chin and then keep going and hope that the next one is better and more of what I want.
Yeah. You said something earlier about, you know, the discouragement. What were some of the things that you had to battle early on in your DJ career and your life? Because anytime you take a challenge to get out of your comfort zone, or you try something that, I mean, let's be honest, most people aren't trying to be DJs, you know, that's a very selective career. Yeah. What are just some of the things that you had to deal with when you first started out?
I mean, when I first started, it was like the very first show I ever did, like I had to sell tickets to the show. Mm-hmm. Yep. So it was basically like, and that's how I would get paid. You know, now I'm fortunate enough to where like, you know, I can set a rate and be like, cool, this is what it'll take to get me to come play for however long you need, yada, yada, yada. When before it was like, no, you need to sell these 10 tickets. And if you don't get paid at all. And even if I did get paid, it was like $50. So like I was doing that for a while. Or then like when I was doing the shows in Akron, like I had to sell tickets to a show in Akron to where most of my friends couldn't even drive yet, And like, you know, it's hard to convince somebody to come to a show from Cleveland to Akron for like a local like upstep show or whatever, when like it just wasn't like the thing. So just kind of facing that, you know, trying to keep motivation of like, okay, you know, just keep pushing through. And other stuff was just like, you know, not exactly like direct support from every single family member that you would think, you know. You know, some family members didn't like agree with it. They didn't like the idea of me like being a DJ or going to these places. You know, they're creating scenarios in their mind, which some of them were pretty true. But you know, you're going to like not necessarily like a dangerous place, but just sketchy people on, you know, drugs and stuff. But like there was never like any like super dangerous situations to where like where I was going to. Yeah, it was like a little bit weird for like a 16 17 year old to be there. But just overall, like, not direct support of just being like, you know, hey, like I think even at one point it was like, hey, yeah, like, we actually don't want you doing this.
Wow. Like just point blank, they told you.
Point blank, yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, cool. Like, you know, and that kind of sticks with you, especially when you're younger, and especially if it's like a family member. So you're sitting there like, all right, well, like, the people that I feel like should be supporting me, like, aren't. So what do I do now? And basically I was like, all right, well, you know what? I'm just going to prove them wrong.
Yep.
I'm just going to stick with it. I'm going to do my thing and, you know, just show them, like, you know, that this is, like, something real. Because, you know, it's still a relatively new thing. And people, you know, it hasn't been fully accepted yet as a job or an actual career that you can excel in. Granted, not everybody's fortunate enough to, you know, have success and, like, take it to another level. You know, again, fortunately enough, we are, and we've, you know, we're still being able to create and grow, but, you know, we're some of the selected few, and we're not even completely where we want to be.
Do you feel like it caused some distance between you and your fam, or were things still cool? They were just like, yeah, like, whatever, like, do your little DJ thing, or, like, did it really create an issue within, like, your family?
I wouldn't say it created, like, a big major issue. It definitely probably made me distance myself, but then to where I'm just like, all right, I just need to work, like, harder and just do even more, to the point to where then I think that moment eventually kind of came around to where, like, the ones that had said it, they had, like, came out to, like, one of the shows and saw, like, place was packed, people were, like, super excited, rocking out, and then like, I think that's when it all clicked, because, you know, they're only seeing maybe some stuff online or just like what I'm telling them, or, you know, have their own perceptions. So now they're actually in the environment years later, and they see what it actually is, and like how, you know, successful it is, you know, how everyone engage it, and they're like, okay, you know, now I get it.
Yep.
So that helped legitimize it. But, you know, in those moments I could have just like taken it, just been like, cool, I'm done then. Like, whatever, you know. I think end of the day, it's the lesson of just like, you know, continue to do what you want, push through it. Not everybody's going to support you, and you shouldn't expect everybody to. Like, if you expect every single person to support you and be like, hell yeah,
you're gonna end up upset.
Yeah, like, no matter what, there's going to be disappointment. So I just kind of, you know, if people want to support me, and the people that continue to do, awesome. If you choose at some point to stop and don't want to, or just don't want to in general, that's fine. I don't need it. If it's there, awesome, great, thank you.
Now, from an outsider's point of view, you're doing pretty well. You're traveling, you're booking a lot of gigs, you know, in Cleveland. You've made a great name for yourself. You've done some stuff with some big name artists, and you've done it for, like you said, a long time, 12, 13 years. And when you really put that into perspective, to do anything that long takes a lot of mental strength. Takes a lot of perseverance. What has allowed you to continue to go this long and, you know, just like reach this pinnacle, and really just like not stop or give up or anything like that?
I think just again, like, the fortunate thing of, like, you know, it's been working out each year. I'm growing and doing more stuff. I'm like, you know, I'm traveling to new states to go play that I've never played in. And even, like, you know, the last few years, you know, I'm creating like my year goals. I have my short-term ones that I can get done pretty quickly, and then my whole year goals. So within that, I think I had, travel to 3 to 4 new places to play. So what did I do so far this year? Like, I think it was what was it? So I've been to LA before, but I never played in LA. So I went and played in LA. Boom, check that off the list. I went to Detroit and played. Never played there. Never been there. Well, I'd been there like a month prior, but same thing. Never played there. Boom, that's on the list. Then I went to Austin, Texas. Been there before. Never played there. Boom, checked on the list. So that's 4.
Yep.
I've already like hit my goal, and you know, I'm about to have another one. I'm about to go to Utah. So just like little stuff like that to kind of like keep me motivated, and just other, you know, the relationships I've created with certain people to where that's fostered into other stuff. So, you know, just trying to level up each year, create new things, set new goals for myself to then achieve, and like, you know, it's all pretty obtainable stuff. You know?
Stuff, yeah.
There's you know, but granted, like I said, it's been 13 years in the making, and the last 3 to 4 years, 5, maybe 6, have lent to this travel and like being able to do more of this stuff. Or, you know, a friendship was created 4 or 5 years ago, and then now it fostered into like doing more, like going out of state to do shows with them. Actually, now I just thought about it, 5 went to New Jersey too and played out there in Atlantic City. So I'm already far past my goal of what I wanted, so I'm just adding, and I'm keeping
just
track
more fuel
of it.
for you.
More fuel, just more stuff like, okay, how can I grow it? And like even going out there, created new fan supporters, you know, people who choose to enjoy what I do.
Yep.
So that's helping it grow, and just, it's, you know, creating other relationships with other TJs in other cities, you know. So yeah, just a lot of I just try to keep track of everything that I'm doing, and I kind of look back,
celebrate your victories.
Yeah, look at all the victories. Okay, see some of the losses that are in it, you know, if there's any, whichever, and just like, okay, cool, next year let's do this, let's get this together. Like even so, like some of those were kind of like long-term goals for the whole year of playing in like different places. Another like short-term ones that I had set for myself was like, okay, let me get my EPK and my press stuff like totally together this year. Let me update my website, have it fully flushed out, have everything aligned. Boom, short term, done. Just stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's the little stuff that'll make you sharper.
Yep, totally agree, man. And I mean, it's awesome to see just from like when we first met, and you know what, to where we are now, and you know, to know that your trajectory is not done. You know, it's a pretty cool thing. Now you're a pretty well spoken guy, and if you don't mind touching on this
sometimes.
Yeah, if you don't mind, touch on this next thing, man, because everybody has something that could hold them back, that could prohibit them from, you know, going after a certain goal, getting in front of people. I mean, this next thing we're going to talk about, dude, you're on stage, you're on the mic, you know, it's just kind of, you know, allow the people to know, like, one of the things that you've had to deal with at a young age, something you struggle with now, and like how you have kind of overcome that.
Yeah. So I guess you want me to introduce it.
Yeah, I'll let you do it. I don't want to incorrectly.
No, you're good. Yeah.
So
if it wasn't parents, so yeah. So I guess you could say, I don't know. You can't even. I don't know, maybe you could classify it as like a disability, but not really.
Yeah.
But handicap or whichever. I don't know. But I have a stutter, so obviously, you know, certain words I'll get stuck on when I'm talking, or, you know, have a hard time getting like certain things out. For some reason today it's like flowing immaculately.
This guy's smooth today.
I know. I don't know why. You know, it changes day to day. But yeah, like you said, it's a weird thing of like being on stage, being on the microphone. It never shows up. Never. Like, and some people don't even notice it. Maybe in conversation sometimes they will. And I've been having like some instances where like people actually end up pointing it out, and they're like, yo, hey, look, I noticed this. And like they're like, you know, I also dealt with a similar thing.
Wow.
Yeah. And like it happened last night to this one with this one artist that I met like recently, or over the summer forward, like one of the guys I opened for, like we were all hanging out after, and like he was like, yo, I noticed this, like straight up. I'm like, wow,
I deal with it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, wow, that's
awesome.
actually pretty crazy. So then like just when people you know, can level with me with it and everything like that. But yeah, it's definitely, it was something dealt with like whole life. Like it originally was at a point to where like we couldn't even sit here and have this conversation. Probably every other word would be like I would get stuck and like just struggle, and then like somebody would probably just finish the rest of the sentence, and then at that point like I don't want to talk.
Yeah, that's kind of what do I say? It's kind of like demeaning when someone finishes your sentence for you.
and like they don't even know, like most of the time, you know, people are just like, they're just trying to help, and they're so like, it's like unconscious thought or whichever, or
they think they're trying to help.
Yeah, when it's like actually. So if you ever run into that, try not to do it, you know. But
PSA.
So yeah, like kind of dealing with it here and there. I don't know, it's never really something that's ever like completely like held me back. I was fortunate to where like nobody really like made fun of me, I guess you could say, or like it wasn't really like made into like a bigger deal, and I had already like accepted it for what it was. Like I can't really change it,
right?
So just, you know, went to therapy for it and like figured out ways to where like better ways I could help like the flow with it, or if I get stuck, certain techniques to just kind of like whatever. So like, I did that for years, and then eventually I was kind of over it, because it was like every Saturday at like 8 a.m. or something like that, you know. So, and like I was young when I was doing it, so after a while I was like, all right, dude, I'm kind of over this, like whatever.
Do you feel like the confidence that being a DJ has instilled in you has helped you with that? Because like I said, you're in front of crowds, you're on these big stages, you're performing in front of people every night. So, you know, stutter aside, like you have to deal with just that as a DJ of performing well. Do you think that having to perform well and, you know, play well and building the confidence in that has translated over into giving you confidence, you know, when you speak and things like that?
Probably in some way, maybe like more than I don't even realize or like really think about. I don't know. It's so like natural to me, / like I don't even really think about it. Yeah, like if I get stuck on something, I get a little frustrated, but I don't know. I mean, it probably has, and I just don't even think about it or know about it. But directly, I don't know, probably. Yeah. But
now you just mentioned too that you're going to therapy for it. I want to kind of dive into this. You know, as DJs, I feel when we were younger, obviously years ago, mental health wasn't a huge thing.
Yeah.
And as of recently, it's become a lot bigger, and, you know, there's a lot more emphasis on it. And a lot of people don't really probably assume that DJs have a mental health struggle, but
yeah,
you know, when you're out late and long hours, late nights, and the amount of people that there's a lot of pressure that people don't know about. What, I guess, talk about how has mental health impacted you as a DJ? How do you use it as a DJ? Just what does it mean to you in those terms?
Yeah, I think to continue on before like fully answering it, I think everybody, like, you know, they see what we do, you know, we're essentially getting paid to party, whatever, you know, create a fun time for people, have fun ourselves, you know, whichever, and, you know, there's that own perception with it that, you know, everything's always good, everything's fine, you know, like the party guy. Yeah, exactly, which, like, yeah, I mean, I think there's plenty more lows than there are highs with it. You know, I've heard other people talk about it, and they're like, you know, we're in such a high, like, adrenaline moment. You know, when we get done, we're all hyped up. We're, like, trying to figure out something else to do, whether, you know, you end up going to, like, an after party or whatever, or then, like, you just go home to, like, end the night, and then you're just kind of sitting there, like, you're awake. Like, you're, like, still ready to go, and it's kind of like, you know, it's an overload of, like, serotonin and like dopamine in the moment, to where you're like, holy shit, like I'm still like ready to go, like that was amazing, blah blah blah. So then, you know, you come down off the high of that situation, and you're just like, all right, well, like, kind of now what? Or, you know, even if you're dealing with like personal stuff, you know, feel like as a DJ, like everybody, you know, they expect you to be happy. If you're sitting there like not smiling, or like, you know, you look upset or whatever, people are like, yo, like why do you look like that? Like, you shouldn't, like, be upset. Like, not really like, oh, like, is everything cool? It's like, no, like, you know,
especially if they're always used to seeing you happy.
You know, sometimes, and it's kind of like anybody, you know, if you're in a situation to where, like, you know, you kind of have to hide like your emotions if you're upset or you're dealing with personal stuff, family stuff, relationship stuff, you know. So I think like for anybody, it takes a toll on it, especially in this situation where the what is it, like the job and the career of it all is, you know, you're expected to be like this big party person, you know, just those cliches and what people already paint it to be. You know, they see all the big name people and everything like that, and even like, I mean, like the perfect example is like Avicii, you know.
Yep.
He was like somebody who, you know, on top of the world, had all these massive hit records, blah blah blah, but then like behind the scenes he's dealing with like a bunch of dark stuff, and
Going
like you
through
can't
it,
even tell, even, you know, for countless others. You know, that was just an example that came to mind real quick, but same thing, you know, we're all dealing with it, and you know, we feel like we have to put up a front, you know, we can't have a bad night, because especially too, if we're letting our like mental health or what's going on outside of it affect what we're doing, we don't perform like a good job, like,
which then creates more mental health issues, because you're like, oh,
like
I
messed up, all ownership, management's gonna be pissed, blah blah blah. You know, there's
it's a tough cycle.
There's even moments where, like, you know, you could like do like you're not best set, but nobody else notices, because well, you know, all the other ones are great, but then, you know, we'll sit more in our heads about it, but, you know, sometimes it's more apparent, sometimes it's not, and sometimes it's like very apparent to where, you know, you're having other issues within the situations, to where then it affects the job, to where you could lose out on the gig, you know, especially if it's a residency. So there's a lot to like manage back and forth and like deal with through all of it. And I don't think a lot of people realize it, or, you know, it's not very, very apparent. And, you know, it's just, it sucks, and it's life, but
definitely is.
Just gotta keep, you know, it's I said to you earlier, everything is like a peak and a valley. So for all these like great high moments you're gonna have, you know, you could have
ebbs and flows,
5 to 10 great high moments, and then you're gonna have like the 1 to 2 that like bring you right back down.
Harsh ones.
And but like the good thing about them is they kind of reground you. It allows you to regroup.
Totally
think,
agree.
okay, you know what, I'm kind of slipping up here, let me figure out what the issue is, you know, try to solve it as best as I can, continue to work on it, so then this isn't going to keep reoccurring.
So obviously the name of the podcast is Politely Dangerous, and, you know, I want to kind of touch on the politely part before we get into what makes you dangerous. You have to deal with hundreds and hundreds of people night after night, week after week, and the club life can be very demanding, especially now with how people, you know, they hold their phones up at venues that I've seen. You know, there's not a lot of please and thank you.
No, zero.
How do you, I mean, obviously you're a friend of mine, close friend of mine, and, you know, you're a great person, and I've seen you interact with people, and obviously there's times you get frustrated, but I've always seen you handle things in a calm manner and a polite manner. Kind of just what's allowed you to, you know, remain a good person through 13 years of people just throwing things at you and demands at you? Like, what keeps you kind of grounded and polite through all of that?
Just like trying to, you know, if you kind of like a self-reminder / like, you know, we're always on, you know, you don't want to create a negative interaction with people, you know, especially, you know, if you're seen as like the party guy, all this stuff, and, you know, you don't want to, it's one of those things to where it's a mixture of like self, like kind of how you view yourself. You know, nobody wants to be like perceived as like the asshole,
right?
Or like somebody that's mean, everything like that. So, you know, you got to kind of walk the fine line of like being stern, but then also just, you know, being polite. So, you know, we're in gigs all the time to where, you know, there's somebody coming up and they're like demanding something and they're super rude, and like then it might be somebody who's important within that venue, and you kind of have to like, unfortunately sometimes just kind of like smile and like be like, okay, like, you know. So just being able to ground yourself within the situation, find a way to create the patience. Like, I don't even know how, like, I do it, because my patience is very, very, very high, and it takes, like,
it takes a lot to get you there
for me to, like, kind of, like, either, like, freak out or, like, really get going. And then, you know, especially if somebody's, like, there's plenty of situations to where, like, people are, like, they're, like, swearing at me, mouthing off, blah, 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 and, you know, I'm in a situation where I'm in the club, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to still try to be as polite as possible. Hey, please, I need you to leave. Please walk away, go, blah, 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 and, you know, they can continue to do whatever, but I know in the end, in that whole situation, I still handled it the best way that I could, to where, I don't know, I guess the person can't come back and be like, well, he was being an asshole, he was swearing at me, he was, like, freaking out on me. You know, I'll let you do that to yourself,
right?
Because if you're already doing that, cool, you can do that. I'm just going to talk to you normal, I'm not going to scream back at you, blah, blah, blah. So just, trying to remind myself, you know, of, to where, you know, if it needs to get to a moment to where then I need to flip the switch where it's a bit more, like, warranted, sure, but, you know, in certain situations, just
that makes sense.
hold back and just you know, try to defuse the situation. I don't really like a lot of confrontation. It's like something I just, like, try to always avoid. So same. If I can avoid it and just calm the situation down and just have it de-escalate, cool.
Yeah. All right, let's flip the coin here now to the dangerous part. Like I said, obviously, this has been echoed throughout the podcast, but, you know, you've been doing this for a long time. You have the politeness of you. You know how to stay grounded. So what's that edge that you have? What are some of those qualities that, you know, have kept you going for this long, that keep you hungry? You know, it's easy to get comfortable in a career like this, especially, you know, when you have a lot in front of you. You know, you have the gigs and you have the connections. It's easy to kind of shift that gear into neutral and, you know, just coast. What are some qualities about you that make you dangerous, that make you want to, you know, keep going and not settle for, you know, everything that you have now?
Basically, like, the fact of, like, just reminding myself, like, things are ever changing. I need to continuously adapt, especially as I'm traveling, I'm going to new rooms. Like, they're not every room's the same. It could be the same name of the place, but the room is going to be different. Doesn't matter. It's a different location, different demographic of people. So just always reminding myself, okay, I need to get better. I need to do some research of, like, figuring out who's there, you know, what they would like to hear, what works there, what doesn't, and just, like, you know, always wanting to grow and, like, learn and, like, just better myself. If I get too complacent, then, like, I'm done. I'm screwed. Like, I'm gone. There's no point, you know? And then just, you know, kind of how you said, like, don't get overly comfortable too. Like, if you get overly comfortable, it'll all just backfire on you. It's cool to, like, have some complacency where you're at, but also just know things can change at any point. You know, stay on your toes, stay vigilant, and just stay, like, trying to figure the stuff out, and just reading situations and people, and just you know, like I said, kind of know when to flip the switch and when you got to be, like, stern with people. You know, stand up for yourself. You know, that's stuff that I'm trying to work on and learn too, here and there, given situations. And just, like, you know, maintain relationships, don't overextend, you know, let timing, like, work how it should. I'm trying to think what else to, like, help.
No, you get some good ones, man. No, that makes a lot of sense. And, you know, it's just like you said, just not staying complacent, but, you know, kind of having that gratitude of everything you've had so far, and just understanding that, hey, there's more if you want it. You know, if you want to go after it and go get it, but it's kind of up to you to make that decision and figure out how to get there. So definitely understand that.
No, yeah.
One of the final questions I want to ask you, you know, just, you know, we always talk about overcoming things and adversity. What would you say is one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn, you know, as a DJ, as a person, that you had to overcome, you know, whether it's been recently or, like, early in your career? You know, what's a memory that sticks out to you to where you're like, man, whew, that one coulda, it was make or break, you know?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to pinpoint since it's kind of all ever changing, and like, I don't know. I guess I can kind of, like, group, like, a lot of them together because they all have a different effect and teach me, like, different stuff within the situation, whether it's for my career, for me personally, or just, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Was there like any point in like college where, you know, you were kind of like, man, do I want to keep doing this? Like a certain gig or anything?
I think, maybe, yeah, I guess I got two where I can like kind of pinpoint to where it's like, sure. So you kind of jog my memory. So like back at OU, like I was freshman year, I was playing at this like hookah bar that was there. And like it was like the most like grueling thing because it was like
you don't say.
Yeah, because it's just a little like small non-ventilated room, so you're just sitting there like inhaling like hookah smoke all night. But like then the hours were from what like 10 p.m. until like 4 a.m.
Yeah, those hookah hours.
Like 10, yeah, so 10, 11, 12,
it's like 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so yeah, like 6 hours. I don't know why. Kind of 5.
It's all good.
But, or kind of whatever. But, no, yeah, so it was for 6 hours or whatever, and it was just so like long and grueling because just to the point then I'm done at the end of the night. I gotta walk back to my dorm
4 a.m. 5 a.m.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 a.m. I'm carrying my board, and this is like on like a Friday or Saturday night. So then like all my friends are out at the bars like hanging out. I'm seeing everything on Snapchat at the time, like fuck dude, I wish I was like out, you know. And then I'm sitting there like granted that moment it's not so much like do I want to like quit DJing, but more so like, is this really like worth my time
missing
anymore?
Out on special moments. Yeah,
like missing these moments, or just like for like the little bit of money that it was, because it was like, oh dude, I think it was like $80.
Yeah. Oh no, trust me, I DJ'd a hookah bar and it was like 75 for like 5 hours.
Yeah, like zero money. So I'm like, dude, is this even worth it? Like, cause like I didn't have a job either, like on campus.
That was all you had?
Yeah, that's all I had to like make any money. So I did it for a while, like I think a decent amount of like freshman year. And then like next year, once I came back, I had gotten all new gear. And the dude like wanted me to come back. I'm like, well, if I do that, like I'm gonna need more money.
Yeah, bro.
I'm gonna need this. And he's like, yeah, I don't think I can do that. I'm like, cool.
I can't DJ.
Then I'm out, bro.
Yep.
Sorry.
Good
like,
for you.
so I guess kind of realizing like own self-worth, knowing when it's time to leave like a situation like that where it doesn't really benefit you, you know. Or I think we've even talked about it too, of like, you know, starting to become more selective with what we do, like as far as the gigs, you know, and kind of looking at it like, okay, you know, the direction I'm wanting to go in, how will this benefit me? Okay, so, you know, if I'm wanting to be like do more stuff like out of state and do all this stuff as like a club DJ, doing more weddings and stuff for me personally won't grow what I want to do.
Right.
Yeah, it could put some money in my pocket, but that time and whatever
doesn't drive your passion.
Yeah, it could be spent somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So I guess that could be one part of it. And then like the second part where like I actually sat there and like looked at it, if this is what I want to do anymore, was like during COVID. Like, man, you know, for anybody, it put everything into perspective, everything in check to where, like I said, originally there's no plan B. It's only DJing, only do music, this, that, and the third, and cool, everything shuts down. And then I'm like, well, shit, like, I guess I'm going to have to do something else. You know, I'm going to have to find something else. Like, you know, who knows if this is going to come back.
I was in that same mindset, like,
sitting there. Well, I mean, even like, I don't know if I've told, like, people this story directly, but like, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll go get like a job at Amazon, like at the warehouse, like whatever, like I need to do something.
I was in that same boat.
So like I applied, I was and like luckily at the time like some DJ gigs came back, so I remember I was at one place and I was like DJing for like a Browns game, and then I was like, all right, I know I gotta go to like the first shift at Amazon after this. And like I was like kind of DJing here and there, plus then working another job for a clothing company, and then I was gonna work like nights at Amazon, so like doing like 3 different things. And I've like always kind of done that, of having like 3 to 4 jobs or like some like crazy amount of stuff. But so I'm like, okay, well, and so I got the times kind of mixed up of when I thought I was supposed to go into Amazon. One thing said like 6 p.m. Mind you, it's already like 7 p.m. So I'm like an hour late. And then another thing said like 9. So I'm like, all right, I'll just go with the one that says 9. So I leave, and I'm like, shit, dude, this is gonna suck. Like, I talked to my family members about it. They're like, yo, this is like a grueling thing. Like, it sucks to work there. Like, you're like a robot.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
You'll make good money, but like complete robot, like
It'll drive you
not
crazy.
a lot of freedom. I was like, all right, well, it kind of is what it is. Like, I could just like do it for a little bit and just hack up some money. So then I get there, like I pull in the parking lot. I'm just kind of like, dude, I don't know. Like, I don't want to do this really. Like, I'm not really feeling this. I was like, should I go in? Should I at least give it a try? So like I sat there and I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll flip a coin. So if it lands on like heads, I'll go in. If it lands on tails,
This is in the car.
In the car, like I'm supposed to be in there in like 5 minutes.
Dang.
So I'm sitting there like, okay. So I flip it, lands on heads. I'm like, shit. Okay, it's 1.
Yeah, like, let me flip it again.
Yep. Yeah, best 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Flip it again, lands on tails. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Here we go. Flip it, lands on tails. I'm like, cool. I'm going home. And like,
See ya.
Yeah. So I'm like, cool. Now it's like, again, back on full go with this whole thing. But now I'm like, all right, I need to find other avenues within it to then create more stability within it for whatever else
big
happens.
wake up call. Like, I gotta grow my bag. So
Yep.
man, I can definitely relate to that. And COVID was a tough time. I remember I had to make some tough decisions too. So well, hey man, I appreciate you opening up and being vulnerable today. Is there anything that on the DJ side or personal side, entrepreneurship side, that any advice, tips that you want to leave people with that you've kind of learned, and we'll kind of wrap it up there?
Trying to think. I guess personal wise, be able to become more comfortable with just yourself and only you. Try not to depend on other people for your happiness.
Absolutely.
Or other situations, and just like learning more about yourself to feel okay. In those moments where if you're not feeling good in any type of like manner, whether it's mentally, physically, or whichever, to where you can kind of hone in and like ground yourself, and essentially without somebody else telling you, like everything is going to be okay.
Yeah.
So being able to realize that and focus in like that. Excuse me, jeez. Professionally, grow and strive for more always, and then I don't know, just have fun.
Yeah. Ultimately, hey, we get have fun, man. We get to do this thing one time. Well, like I said, man, appreciate you being on the pod today. Like I said, excited to see where your journey takes you. Make sure you guys check my guy out. He's all over Cleveland. He's all over Columbus. Forward in the summer. Goodnight John Boy in Cleveland.
Cleveland, Columbus,
man,
Chicago,
everywhere.
St. Pete, San Diego.
Coming soon. So let them know how they can keep track of you, your social media, anything else you want to share?
Everything is Bobby Booshay 216, Instagram, X. What else? Everything else, SoundCloud. I don't know. I'll post all my stuff. I got the website, hobbybooshay.com. Everything is like on there, from just like videos, media, upcoming dates, which I need to update. Trying to think. I would say that's pretty much it. Massive thank you for having me on here and wanting to showcase anything and everything about me.
Yeah, my brother. Appreciate you.
My dog, thank you.
Well, once again, thank you guys for tuning into episode 3 of the Politely Dangerous podcast with Mr. Bobby Booshay. That's all the time we have. Stay polite, stay dangerous.
Peace. Sorry, I sound like shit.
My guy.